When Maharaj Prithu practiced a particular yogic sitting posture, he blocked the door of his anus with his ankles, pressed his right and left calves, and gradually raised his life air upward, passing it on to the circle of his navel. Up to his heart and throat, and finally pushed it upward to the central position between his two eyebrows. The sitting posture described herein is called as Muktasana. In the yoga process, after following the strict regulative principles, controlling sleeping, eating, and mating, one is allowed to practice the different sitting postures. The ultimate aim of yoga is to enable one to give up this body according to his own free will. One who has attained the ultimate summit of yoga practice can live in a body as long as he likes it. Or as long as he is not completely perfect. Leave the body to go anywhere within or outside the universe. Some yogis leave their bodies to go to higher planetary systems and enjoy the material facilities therein. Ultimately, intelligent yogis do not wish to waste their time within this material world at all. They do not care for the material facilities in the higher planetary systems, but they are interested in going to the spiritual sky. Back home, back to Godhead. From the description in this verse, it appears that Maharaj Prithu had no desire to promote himself to the higher planetary systems. He wanted to return home immediately back to Godhead. Although Maharaj Prithu stopped all practice of mystic yoga after realizing Krishna consciousness, he took advantage of his previous practice and immediately placed himself on the Brahma Bhuta platform. In order to accelerate his return to Godhead, the aim of this particular system of asana, known as a sitting posture for liberation or Muktasana, is to attain success in Kundalini Chakra and gradually raise the life from the Muladhara Chakra to the Swadhisthana Chakra, then to the Manipur Chakra, the Annahata Chakra, the Vishuddha Chakra, and finally to the Agya Chakra. When the yogi reaches Agya Chakra between the two eyebrows, he is able to penetrate the Brahmarandhara or the hole in the skull and go to any planet he desires up to the spiritual kingdom, Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha Loka. The conclusion is that one has to come to the Brahma Bhuta stage for going back to Godhead. However, those who are in Krishna consciousness or who are practicing Bhakti Yoga, Shavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, can return to Godhead even without practicing the Muktasana process. The purpose of Muktasana practice is to come to the Brahma Bhuta stage. For without being on the Brahma Bhuta stage, one cannot be promoted to the spiritual sky. As stated in Bhagavad-gita 4:26, Mam cha yoga vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. The Bhakti yogi practicing Bhakti yoga is always situated on the Brahma Bhuta stage. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. If a devotee is able to continue on the Brahma Bhuta platform, he enters the spiritual sky automatically after death and returns to Godhead. Consequently, a devotee did not feel sorry for not having practiced the Kundalini Chakra or penetrating the 6 chakras one after another. As far as Prithu Maharaj was concerned, he had already practiced this process, and since he did not want to wait for the time when his death would occur naturally, He took advantage of the Shat Chakra penetration process and thus gave up the body according to his own free will and immediately entered the spiritual sky. Oh, yeah, suicide. Oh, so in suicide one doesn't have any control. Suicide. Oh, no, suicide is out of control situation actually. Therefore, suicide is accompanied by a lot of pain. This is not accompanied by pain. So, in fact, this is a in fact, you can see. In fact, this is a natural cycle of death. Why this is a natural cycle of death? Means basically what is natural? Natural means that which is prescribed, and if one follows it without pain, easily one can work it out smoothly, easily, respectfully, like that. So uh, so suicide is unnatural. Suicide is criminal activity. Even after committing it, one has to pay the price for it. See, there are two things. One is so what is natural means what is prescribed. So Vedas are prescribing both ways. One is your term gets over, the body has to be anyways overhauled or destroyed. And then by that time you have made so much progress, now you don't need another body. So you can go direct to spiritual world. That's one way. Other way is the body is already perfected. Now the material nature is giving the opening the doors and you are walking out very respectfully. That is this process. You see, in this process, one is walking very respectfully without pain and having full control. So yogi goes out. If he wants, he can come back again in the same body also. That's possible. Till the time the body is not destroyed. So some of the yogis will burn the body because they are actually going to back to Godhead. By on their own they will burn the body. But if a yogi is just gone for interplanetary travel, then he may come back in his body. Many yogis do that. Genuine yogis. So it's a bona fide process. That's why there is no pain in it. See, Maya is opening the doors to get out. It's quite respectable. See, just like if a tenant is there in a house of somebody, then they have this leave and license agreement. That agreement says in two ways one can leave the house. One is if the landlord says, okay, you please leave, then there is some notice period, and within that period one has to leave. That's all there in the agreement. 15 days, 1 month or 2 months, whatever the notice period. But the leaving process can be initiated by the tenant also, not just the owner. He can also give 1 month notice and say, I'm leaving. Then that is also respectable. Now, what is criminal is what? That is, a person is a tenant, and what he does, the person is a tenant, rather he does, so what he does, so suppose he is stealing the taps, the the gold plated taps in the house, like that. He goes to the owner house, he steals some more things, and then in the darkness of the night he is off, is it not? But he has stolen some cash, some money, some credit card, some from the owner's house as well. So then that is criminal, is it not? That is criminal. So suicide is like that. Unlawful termination of contract. This is lawful termination of contract. So here rather, because the person is so pure enough and the person is qualified, Maya Devi herself is opening the doors. Okay, move. Okay, move. Is it not? So here there is no fight of supremacy against Maya. Rather there is Shanagiri to Krishna and Maya is herself opening the doors. Is it not interesting? Maya is herself opening the doors. But suicide is very much against Maya. The principles of Maya Shakti also. So suicide is interfering with the algorithms of Maya Shakti. Is it not? Therefore, suicide is penalized very heavily. Very heavy penalty is done. Like to give one punishment is Maya's department. A living entity cannot decide his own punishment. Is it not? That's the point. So if he decides his own punishment, he is criminal because that's Maya's department. No? That's Maya's department. But if the living entity says, no, I want to decide, I want a decision with me, I don't want to be forced, yes, then the option is given. You want to decide? You can decide your destiny by practicing Bhakti Yoga. So that is like sanctioned pathway of changing the activities. Is it not? In that case, Maya will open the doors herself. But in the case of suicide, Maya will not leave. Got the point? Huh? So it's not Maya killing the body or we killing the body. It is what is sanctioned or not. Yeah, if one has the powers. If one has the powers. And if so, then his exhibition of power will be useless. So exhibition of power is useful when you can attain success by that. So suppose one yogi practices this chakra and all that, but he is not able to reach the Brahmarandhara because he is not practiced enough. वो यहीं पे अटक गया उसका, इधर से निकल गया, तो he will not go to spiritual. वो स्वर्ग लोक में जाके अटक जाएगा और परेशानी हो जाएगा. No, he cannot. Oh, Brahmarandhara is fine. Brahmarandhara means one is going up. But that up means what? Swargaloka, Maharloka, Brahmaloka, what? That depends on his practice. Brahmarandhara. Spiritual world. Krishna Loka. He can go spiritual world. In spiritual world. So one will not be able to touch Brahmarandhara. Probably he will come out of the nose then. Yeah. Because Brahmarandhara will not be ruptured so easily. The passcode is Hare Krishna. Ultimately, it will ask for genetic fingerprinting. And if one doesn't have Hare Krishna and the genetic code, again, the door will not open. Brahmarandhara will not open. Nose is open. Mouth is open. Not open. Interesting, huh? So everything is scientific. They ask a passcode, is it not? They'll do the person scan. They'll say you didn't practice properly, you won't be allowed. Oh, so this is bhakti. Actually, Prithu Maharaj is performing bhakti. That's why Prabhupada is making very clear, because he had already practiced this knowledge, Ashtanga Yoga and all that. He already knew it because that was the age. Everybody was taught in school. It was a class 6th subject actually, Ashtanga Yoga. Right? So he had already given class 10, class 12. He got some good marks in it. So he's using it now. He's saying, why to wait and waste time? I want to go back to Godhead. And he's sure that he will go back to Godhead. That's why he's trying it out. Is it not? That way. Huh? Yes. Brahmarandra, if one penetrates, one will go to Krishna Loka, can go to Krishna Loka, yes. We need hard to reach Agya Chakra itself, one requires only. So, otherwise, one will come out of the nose. I don't know, eyes are also considered as holes, right? One may come out of the eyes also. It's a little weird, but that's how, see, that is the point. He cannot, after coming out, can one go back or not? It's like the science, no? After boarding a flight to United States, you cannot turn your way to Australia. है ना? पहले सोचना था, है ना? Is it not? After landing the destination, maybe one can jump up, down, and all. That's possible. Pranavayu is not subtle body. Pranavayu is still gross body, but it can move the mind. It can move the soul. It has that power. Like material sound can affect. Similarly, air can also affect the mind and the soul. But actually, pranavayu, according to Ayurveda, pranavayu is a derivative of the airs we breathe in and all that. It's a derivative of those airs. How it happens, what happens, we don't know. Not revealed. But it's something to give and take with the airs. So therefore, when these vayus are not working properly, then they set right this kapha, pitta, and then it starts working properly. Airs. So these airs are material only. That's how we can understand. When at least they have some material component. They may have a subtle component also, but at least they have a material component that is known. More than that, I don't know. Because actually, mind is subtle, sound is not subtle. Sound is gross, the beginning of gross, and from sound comes air. So, till air, the mind gets affected and the soul gets affected, caught and affected. After that, it doesn't. So, I mean, you cannot pass current to a person and awaken him to a spiritual reality. So, fire element cannot. Yeah, I mean, cannot. Uh, uh, Fire element cannot awaken a person to spiritual reality, but sound can. Or probably the material element becomes a carrier for the spiritual vibrations. Just like the spiritual sound. Spiritual sound, we say Hare Krishna, it's a spiritual sound, but it's being transmitted materially. So the material elements are becoming a carrier, it seems. You know, that way. So probably sound and air have that element in it. And by the time it gets to earth, that elements gets diminished. Interesting, huh? Yes. No, they generally may want to go to either Swarga to enjoy, or they may want to go to this Maharloka and all. No, Maharloka and other places. They may not be very much inclined to go to Brahma Jyoti, but they may definitely want to go to Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, because their siddhis are very normal and natural. Or they may just want to go up and enjoy this Swarga and all that. But if a yogi wants, he can go up till Vaikuntha. That facility is there. I mean, that possibility is there, not facility. If one wants to go to Vaikuntha, he has to work hard for it. But that possibility is there, is it not? That's the point. Just like in KGP, there is a possibility that everyone can do a minor in computer science. Just the possibility is there. The degree is not come. The degree is not handed over to everybody. No? But those who work hard towards that possibility, they can be given that award. Is it not? That's the point. Same thing. The possibility to go to Vaikuntha is there, but one has to specifically work hard for it. Every yoga process requires bhakti in its higher stages for perfection. So that means whatever they want to achieve, still in that they should have some bhakti. Which one? नहीं, वैकुंठ से वापस नहीं आएंगे, मूड नहीं करेगा आने का. One can come back, but nobody will come back. From Vaikuntha, nobody will come back. Like that. From Vaikuntha, no one will come back. But Brahmajyoti people come back. Yeah. No, suicide is a criminal. हाँ. Suicide is heavily penalized. People think that they can escape doing giving suicide, is it not? So, but actually they cannot escape. Like sometimes people feel, criminals feel that I'll go out of this country, police will not chase them. But that is a big mistake. So this is international police. They will chase and hunt. So karma police is interplanetary police. They will chase everywhere. So it's unlawful suicide. Like a tenant, if he destroys the landlord's home, he has to be heavily penalized. One may say, no, I was staying there. You were staying there, but you were only having the stay permission, not destroying permission. Is it not? Yeah. Suppose he's staying, he just puts that house on fire and runs away. No? That is called a suicide. You see how dangerous it is? No? Yeah, you're thinking of giving your flat on tenancy, no? So just keep in mind. Is it not? It's painful, no? So the person, he doesn't have the right. He can just stay there. He can use it, but he cannot destroy it like that. Like you can go sit in the class lab, but you cannot break the laptops, desktop there. If you do that, they'll throw you out of KGP. Is it not? No misbehavior, it will be penalized. Is it not? That's the idea. Utsarpa yas, utsarpa yastu, yamstu, tammurdhani, kramane, kramena veshya, nihispriha, vayum vayoshitau kayam, tejas tejasi, ayu yuja. In this way, Prithu Maharaj gradually raised his air of life up to the whole of the skull, whereupon he lost all desire for material existence. Gradually, he merged his air of life with the totality of air, his body with the totality of earth, and the fire within his body with the totality of fire. See, this very clearly goes to show that Prithu Maharaj is walking a bona fide royal roadway. He's carrying all these elements, he's handing all the elements to the respective parking areas and repositories. Is it not? No? And in a very clean and open way, is moving forward. There is no tussle with the Maya Shakti because he's already perfected his life. Is it not? There is no somehow or the other happening. No? He's very nicely returning everything to everyone. Is it not? No? Like a hotel, no, what is that? In a hotel, the person goes to stay in a hotel now, is very nicely returning the key and everything and all that. Is it? So that's what Prithu Maharaj is doing. This goes to show that this is a very respectable bona fide path. Is it not? Now, when the spiritual spark, which is described as 1/10,000th part of a tip of a hair, is forced to enter into the material existence, that spark is covered by gross and subtle material elements. The material body is composed of 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and 3 subtle elements, that is mind, intelligence, and ego. When one attains liberation, he is freed from these material coverings. Indeed, success in yoga involves getting free from these material coverings and entering into the spiritual existence. Lord Buddha's teachings on nirvana are based on this principle. Lord Buddha instructed his followers to give up these material coverings by means of meditation and yoga. Lord Buddha did not give any information about the soul, but if one follows his instructions strictly, he will ultimately become free from the material coverings and attain nirvana. When a living entity gives up the material coverings, He remains a spirit soul. The spirit soul must enter into the spiritual sky to merge into the Brahman effulgence. Unfortunately, unless a living entity has information of the spiritual world and the Vaikuntha, there is 99% chance of his falling down again into the material existence. There is, however, a small chance of being promoted to a spiritual planet from Brahman effulgence or the Brahma Jyoti. This Brahma Jyoti is considered by impersonalists to be without variety, and the Buddhists consider it to be like void. In either case, whether one accepts the spiritual sky as being without variety or void, there is none of the spiritual bliss which is enjoyed in the spiritual planets. That is the Vaikunthas or the Krishna Loka. In the absence of varieties of enjoyment, the spirit soul gradually feels an attraction to enjoy a life of bliss and not having any information of Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha Loka. He naturally falls down to material activities in order to enjoy material varieties. You see, motion in this Shat Chakra system is directly proportional to one's control of material desires. In fact, giving resistance to desires or giving in to the desires will decide whether one is moving up or down. Is it not? Giving in to desires means one will go down. But giving up material desires means one is going up. See, if you see this, the Shat Chakra system, it looks to be so awesome. That one is driving through the obstacles and steering his way to success, is it not? It looks to be quite awesome, is it not? It looks to be some sort of a video game, no? That one is actually crossing the boundaries and then moving up and up and up, no? Up and up, and finally one is able to reach the Brahmarandara. So life of a yogi is very thrilling. It's not monotonous. Rather, life of a materialistic person is boring because he starts on a very adventurous note, but his adventure drops him back at the same point. Yeah? In fact, this is how you can identify an illusion. The illusion will take you up on the trajectory of evolution and elevation, and so on. And when you feel that is enjoying, but after some time, you awaken to the reality that you're still there. You've not gone anywhere. This is called as illusion. Sometimes it's very difficult to identify illusion. But the nature of illusion is starting point and end point both are the same. That means you just went on an illusory ride and came back. So much. So, okay, we have not read the purport, right? Yeah, we have to read the purport. Not read. Not read, yeah. Huh? Oh, we read the Prabhupada. Khanya akashe tavam toye yathasthanam vibhagashah shitim ambhasitat tejasi advayo navasiyamo. In this way, according to the different positions of the various parts of the body, Prithu Maharaj merged the whole of his senses with the sky. His bodily liquids, such as blood and various other secretions, with the totality of water, and he merged the earth with water, water with fire, fire with air, air with sky, and so on. In this verse, two words are very important. Yatha sthanam vibhagashaha. In the Srimad Bhagwatam, second canto, fifth chapter, Lord Brahma clearly explained to Narada how the creation took place. And he explained one step after another the proper divisions of the senses, the controller of the senses, the objects of the senses, and the material elements. And he also explained how they are created one after another. The air from the sky, the fire from the air, the water from the fire, the earth from the water, etc. It is important to know thoroughly the process of creation as it applies to this cosmic manifestation. Similarly, this body is also created according to the same process by the Supreme Lord. The personality of Godhead, after entering the universe, creates the cosmic manifestations one after another. Similarly, the living entity, after entering a womb of a mother, also collects his gross and subtle bodies, taking ingredients from the totality of sky, air, fire, water, and earth. The words Yadasthanam Vibhagashaha indicate that one should know the process of creation and should meditate upon the creative process inversely and thus become free from material contamination. So Srila Prabhupada explains that uh, uh, so Prabhupada explains that that to create the material body also, rather, that all these ingredients are required from the totality repositories. The totality of fire, the totality of earth. So therefore everything has to be deposited back. Deposited back.